Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We're going to give it about a minute to 2 minutes just to give time for everybody to get into the webinar here, and then we'll start and begin. We're going to give it about one more minute, and then we will start our webinar just to give time for everybody to get in. So welcome. Well, welcome and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Securing Tomorrow, Mastering Your Company's Retirement Benefit Options with Union Bank and Trust. I am Jenny Tukeski, the Programming and Communications Manager here at the Better Business Bureau, Midwest Plains. Just wanted to let you know we are recording today's webinar, and later on I will be sending out a follow-up email to you with a link to the webinar, all of the presentation information today that Stacy discusses, as well as some additional handouts and information too. So with that, I just wanted to let you know just about the Better Business Bureau Midwest Plains. I'm not going to read through everything. You can go back through and read all of this later. But just wanted to let you know that BBB Midwest Plains is the fourth largest bureau in the United States, and we serve Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Southwest Iowa, and Western Missouri. And we have offices located in Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska, which is our headquartered office, Overland Park, Kansas, and Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So if you're ever in the area and you have questions or need anything, please come to our office, and we would love to meet with you and discuss anything that we can help you with and go from there. Also, just wanted to let you know we have two different types of newsletters that you can sign up for. We have our consumer newsletter as well as our business newsletter. You can scan the QR codes to get signed up for those. Stay up to date with all of our information that's going on within the Bureau, updated scam alerts that are going on, as well as events that we have taking place within the local areas and our webinars too. So those are all in the slide presentation for you. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Our special guest today is Stacy Gutschen-Ritter, and I hope I pronounced that correctly.
You did great.
Who is the Vice President Marketing Manager of Retirement Plan Services within Union Bank and Trust. Stacy is passionate about building relationships and fact finding what it takes to earn your retirement business, ensuring your company has the best retirement plans that meet the needs not only for your business, but also for your employees too. She is dedicated to finding the next business customer for life and engaging them with the RPS experience. Stacy's passion is evident to everyone she meets. She's actively involved in many local nonprofit and industry committees, including serving on the board of directors for the White Cane Foundation and a Lincoln Rotary Club 14 member. During today's presentation, you will gain comprehensive understanding of how to optimize retirement plans to safeguard the financial futures for both your employees and for you as a business owner. Whether you're exploring new avenues or seeking to enhance existing strategies, this webinar promises to equip you with the knowledge and the tools necessary to inform you with this decision making. If you have any questions, please leave them in the Q&A section and we will answer all the questions at the end. So with that, Stacy, it is all yours and welcome.
Thanks, Jenny. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for attending the webinar today. We're going to go ahead and just go to the agenda slide, Jenny. So today is going to be a pretty high-level discussion regarding basic retirement plans. And then obviously, as Jenny shared, if you have questions or have additional thoughts and want to seek out additional information, please feel free to do so. So today we're going to cover the types of retirement plans, some of the general characteristics, and then why does your business need a retirement plan if you don't have one? So we're going to go on to the next slide. So 3 types of retirement plans that I'm going to cover today. One is the simple IRA option. Individual retirement account is what IRA stands for. We are known for acronyms in this industry, but that's what that stands for. And then there's just the traditional 401k plan. And then we have what's called the Safe Harbor 401k plan. And you can move, there you go, thank you. So a simple IRA, some of the characteristics of a simple IRA plan is what kind of businesses can participate. You may have 50 employees, you may have 100 employees, but the most you can have is 100 or fewer employees to take advantage of the simple IRA option. You can also not have any other employer sponsored retirement plan, so you can't offer any sort of other retirement plan. And then your participating employers, so those are the employees that can participate in the plan, have to have earned at least $5,000 in pay from your business in any 2 preceding years, and have to be expected to earn at least $500 in the current year. Now, the caveat is that an employer can also choose a less restrictive option. An example is below there. An employer can expand their group to eligible employees by reducing or eliminating that minimum compensation requirement that I just shared with you above. So it can be a lot more flexible and nimble versus restrictive. If you want to move on to the next slide, Jenny. First, we're going to talk about who can contribute to the simple IRA. So obviously you set this plan up for your employees. So the employees are going to be the ones that are going to be putting money into their individual retirement accounts. Those monies can be pre-tax deferrals, which allows them a tax advantage in saving for retirement. And then you also can offer the Roth option. And Roth is when you pay the taxes at the end, when you take the money, or sorry, when you take the money out of your paycheck right away, versus the pre-tax is when you take the taxes out when you withdraw the money. So those are the 2 different types of options that you can offer. Employees right now in 2024 can defer up to $16,000 per year. And then if you're over the age of 50, you can defer an additional amount of $3,500. So in total, $19,500. Now, I was just sharing with Jenny, new limits, IRS limits came out last week. So the new limit for 2025 is $16,500. And then that catch up is an additional $3,500. So in total, an employee, if they were over the age of 50, could do $20,000. And as I shared, those limits are subject to change annually. We just received notification last week on those changes. Another caveat is effective 1/1 of 2025. If you are over the age of, if you're between the age of 60 and 63, you are allowed to do a catch-up contribution in maximum of $5,250. So that's not a bullet point on here, but I wanted to share that with you. And this is due to Secure 2.0 legislation that came down a few years ago. But this is a new feature that came effective, will be coming effective 1/1 of 2025. And another caveat in that is that in the year that the participant attains age 64, the catch-up limit will go back to that normal 50 age catch-up limit. You want to go to the next slide, Jenny? Okay, so who can contribute? Again, we're talking, so the next thing is the employer contribution that we're going to talk about. And there are two choices that the employer can choose from on providing a mandatory contribution to the employee's plan. The first one is the mandatory dollar for dollar matching contribution up to 3%. And then the second option is what's called the non-elective contribution, and that's typically or is 2% of compensation for all eligible employees. So as an employer, you have to decide which of those two options you're going to adopt and then use to contribute to the employees' plans. Next slide. Next, we're going to talk about like what are the tax benefits, both to the employers and the employees. So the employer can deduct those contributions that you contribute to their individual retirement accounts at the federal level. So you can take those as a tax write-off. And then as employees, which we shared earlier, the pre-tax option or deferral is going to reduce their taxable income now. And then obviously the Roth, you pay the taxes now. So those are the two tax benefits to the employee. And then the caveat is that there is a 25% IRS penalty if funds are withdrawn prior to 2 years from the first deposit and the employee is under age 59 and a half. And then after 2 years, the penalty drops to 10%, but it also still applies to any withdrawals that occur before the employee reaches 59 and a half. And that's key, that's very crucial. We really don't want those employees to touch those dollars until they're of age of 59 and a half and can take those withdrawals. Next slide. Next characteristic that I'm going to talk about briefly is just what are the investment options available. Typically, with most simple IRA providers, you can select from a menu of investment options that are mutual funds. And then it's important to remember that the employee can make investment transfers or different allocations or deferral percentages at any time. The second option that we're going to talk about now is traditional 401k characteristics. Really, what kinds of businesses can participate in a traditional 401k? Any business can contribute or open a 401k plan. And then that also includes nonprofits or tax exempt employers. So it's not just businesses, it can be tax exempt employers as well. And then secondly, who can contribute those funds? Well, you want the employee to contribute. And briefly below, I just put together what they can't exceed. So you have to at least be 21 years of age, and it can be less than this. So these are just the typical adoption provisions. When you complete 1 year of service, but it can be less than that. You can require a service hours requirement, but you don't have to have that either. And then if you do have part-time employees and you exclude them, there are some special rules that apply. And then again, the employees can defer in 2024 a maximum IRS limit of $23,000. And then if you were over the age of 50, that catch-up contribution was $7,500. And then for 2025, the limits just went up ever so slightly. So a participant can defer up to $23,500 in 2025. And then that catch-up amount is $7,500. So that did not change from last year. So in total, a participant, if they were over the age of 50, could defer a total of $31,000 in 2025. Jenny's going to pass along a handout that I have that just explains those limits in more detail at the end. And then again, as we talked about that Secure 2.0 catch-up provision. So effective 1/1 of 2025, if you're between the ages of 60 and 63, you could do a catch-up contribution of up to $11,250. Those special catch-up contribution limits that I talked about are wonderful, but the caveat is you have to make sure that your payroll can equip and track those limits for you. Next slide. Next, I'm going to talk about the characteristics for employers. And most employer contributions are a tax deduction, and it can be up to 25% of your eligible payroll. And this can be made as a matching contribution or a profit sharing contribution. So as an employer, you can decide if you want to do a traditional match, and that match formula can be what you want it to be. And then, or a profit sharing contribution at the end of the year. And as I shared, the tax benefits to the employer is that it is deductible on your tax returns. And those employee deferrals, again, are pre-tax or Roth, tax deferred. And then there is a 10% premature distribution penalty that could apply. And then RMDs, they're called required minimum distributions, have to be done at age 73 unless you're still employed with the company and working. And then again, the third 401k option or retirement option is the Safe Harbor 401k. And I'm going to talk a little bit in detail about the characteristics of that. So it's very similar to a traditional 401k plan, but the caveat is that the employer contributions that you give to the employee have to be 100% vested. And vesting or vested means ownership. So when an employee terminates their employment with you, they are 100% vested in those employer contributions that you're giving. And so they get to take those dollars with them if they choose to withdraw the money or roll it over into another retirement or IRA option. The reason for the Safe Harbor plan design is this allows employers to automatically satisfy what's called the non-discrimination test. And I'm not going to go into great detail, specifically all the testing that is involved with a 401k plan or a Safe Harbor plan, but there are two tests that it satisfies automatically with Safe Harbor, and that is called the average deferral percentage test, and then it's called an ACP test. So those two tests are automatically pass when you have a Safe Harbor 401k. And again, there are specific contributions. We talked about there being the vesting. There's no vesting schedule, so they're 100% vested. And then also there is a specific employee notice that has to be given with this Safe Harbor 401k plan. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in the next slides. So again, the benefits, as I shared earlier, this does eliminate annual testing requirements, and you don't have to maintain a vesting schedule at all. It's 100% vested. The benefit, oftentimes, it does allow employees to maximize their deferrals based upon the IRS limits, and those IRS limits we discussed earlier. And then it relieves a plan from being top heavy. And I'll talk a little bit more about top heavy. So if you are an owner, a highly compensated employee, oftentimes there's a top heavy minimum contribution that might have to be given if 60% of the assets are held by employer, like an owner or a highly compensated employee. So it relieves the plan from that top heavy minimum contribution that you may have to give at some point in time. Next slide. So I'm going to go over, there are three types of employer contributions within the Safe Harbor 401k plan. The first one is that basic match. And that basic match formula is 100% match on an employee deferral up to 3%. And then there's a 50% match on the next two. So if, for example, if an employee only defers 3%, then you give them 3%. If they defer 5%, you're gonna give them 4%, and that is the max. The second option is the enhanced match option, and this match contribution has to be at least as generous as that basic match, which is that 4%. So an example I give is I have a few clients that do dollar for dollar up to 4%. Some will do dollar for dollar up to 5%, some will do dollar for dollar up to 6%. So it's 100% match on the deferrals up to 4% of their compensation. That's the second formula. And then the third one is the non-elective contribution. And this is a contribution for all eligible employees. And it's even includes employees who do not defer anything. So if you have an employee that defers 0%, you still have to give this, and it's a 3%, 3% of their compensation. So that's the non-elective option. So those are the three options. As I shared earlier, that safe harbor contributions, those employer contributions you give must always be 100% vested. And then there's no allocation or service conditions that the employee has to have. So sometimes on a profit sharing contribution, you can have a last day rule, or they have to work at least 1,000 hours. There is no service conditions with the safe harbor contributions. And then, as I shared, there is a notice explaining what the safe harbor provisions are, and that has to be given to all eligible employees, even if they don't participate, 30 to 90 days before the start of each plan year. And hopefully, like at Union Bank and retirement plans, we assist you with that notice. So hopefully your provider does that for you. And then lastly, just why does your business need a retirement plan? And I just threw this stat out. According to the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, about half of the small businesses in the US have a retirement plan for their employees. We also feel very strongly it is important that you have this benefit and feature for your employees, because you as an owner need to save, but then also your employees need to save for their future, and that assists them with saving for retirement. Most employees' Social Security benefits are not going to be large enough to cover their full living expenses in retirement. A couple of stats that we share with our participants that is super important is that you will probably spend about 25 years of your life in retirement, and you will typically need 80 to 100% of your working income in retirement. Obviously, this is due to rising healthcare costs, and then just, as we all know, the inflation that we've seen just in general with a lot of our expenses. So we stress that Social Security is just a small piece of that pie. And then your retirement benefits and any other outside investments may compile the rest of that 80 to 100%. It helps your employees maintain a quality of life after they retire. We talked a little bit about that. And then as a business owner, it is a benefit that shows your employees you are currently investing in their future. So in conclusion, I just basically high level shared with you the three types of basic retirement plans, and then some of those characteristics in each of those retirement plans, and then ultimately why having a retirement plan is super important for your business, whether it be small or large. So I will take any questions at this time.
Stacy, for a company who's a smaller company and who has just started out and starting to, get more employees, how would they go about with getting their employees started with some type of retirement plan?
The first step would be, if you are just experiencing wanting to add that benefit, I would encourage you to go down the simple IRA route. And here at Union Bank, we do have individuals that can assist with that. My peer, Amy Karkowski, I work closely with just right down the office. So we always recommend that a small business start with a simple IRA. And then once the company grows, or once those assets reach like $1 million, then you can look at doing a 401k plan or the Safe Harbor 401k plan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Just real quick, just to let you know about some upcoming events that we have taking place for the rest of the month of November here with the Better Business Bureau. We have three webinars next week actually taking place. Two of them are the same one. It's called Online Reviews 101. It's Take Control of Your Online Reputation. So that's next week, as well as AI Leadership, Empowering You Business. So with this, it's an actual broader, it's put on by the international BBB. So with that, it is a larger webinar that will be taking place, and it's not directly being hosted by us, but we are out there as well sponsoring that. And then on November 19th, we have Unlock the BBB Business Response Portal. This is for you directly working with any type of complaints and reviews and learning more about your business profile online. You can go ahead and scan the QR code as well. You can always visit bbbinc.org to see all of the upcoming events and webinars that we do have going on. Again, on behalf of the Better Business Bureau Midwest Plains, I thank everyone for taking time out of your schedule today to come and learn, and hopefully it was informative in regards to the different avenues and the different retirement plans that are out there. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to myself or Stacy with those questions that you may have to follow up regarding starting or even transitioning to different retirement plans. And a special thank you to you as well, Stacy, with your schedule. I know that you're extremely busy, so we appreciate you coming out and educating us about the different options that there are, but also to start saving if you haven't, but always continue saving too. So thank you for that. As we stated, we will be sending out the follow-up email to you. It will have a link to the webinar, the presentation information, our contact information, as well as the updated new information that was put out by the IRS that Stacy discussed today. We'll have all of that included for you. As well, there will be a link for a survey. Please fill it out. We're always looking to improve and do better, so please let us know what we can do for you. Also, if you're interested in any specific topics of discussion for a webinar, or would like the Bureau to come out and speak and do a presentation, please let me know. I'd love to discuss those opportunities with you. And if there's nothing else, I don't think I see any other questions. I hope everyone has a wonderful day and stay safe out there. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Bye.